Our presentation today is called The Interactive Map of East Prussia. Is the harmony of science and popular science a fashion or a necessity?
Dear colleagues, it is not easy to amaze the world and onomasticians in particular with interactive maps. Interactive maps may display cafes or restaurants, the streets in your country, and provide yourself with an opportunity to focus on the fundamental task of sciences. By means of interactive maps, you may play search for something and elevate your daily life, but you may also work seriously by facilitating your presence in sciences. So everyone has their own understanding of interactivity. As we began our work in 2030, our task was not only the technical opportunities provided by the interactive technologies, and not only the wish to remind about the minor Baltic languages with their limited textual base, which were named after the tribes speaking those languages, but about the scarcely attested Old Prussian language with a small number of written monuments and a rather big stock of Old Prussian place and personal names. The monument of Old Prussian are the oldest monument of the Baltic languages. Its onomastic data is rather rich. The history is painful and complicated, but it is necessary for the understanding of the Baltic identity. I have written a monograph about the names of inhabitant place of Sambia, which represented the very core of Old Prussian and its vitality. Yet another monograph covers the place names of former East Prussia. I have succeeded in finding over 1,000 onyms not identified by other scholars. It is a rather big number for the language, which is no longer spoken, but still draws the attention of the scholars of Baltic languages as well as eminent European onomasticians. The interactive map of East Prussia 1.5 combines the elements of sciences and popular sciences and promotes the history of the western part of Lithuanian ethnic lands, Lithuanian Minor, as well as Prussian settlements and the names expelled from the arena of Baltic history. Wherever possible, it provides all the recorded variants of every place names from its first record in historical sources to its Germanized or Polonized equivalents by showing that the name of every, even the tiniest object, is an important relic of both the onomasticon of Old Prussian and the instinct Old Prussian language in general. Everyone interested in the history of the former East Prussia and its proper names will find unique facts showing the viability of names and even place in the 16th and later centuries, as well as their fate in the first half of the 20th century and aftermath of World War II. In the interactive map of East Prussia, you can see the authors present detailed description of nearly 315 inhabited places relevant to Prussian and Baltic studies. The Prussian, Lithuanian, and German and Polish forms of oikonyms are listed in the description. Some of the places do no longer occur in any contemporary topographic maps. The Germanized names of surviving places in present-day Poland were Polonized or replaced with the Polish ones. The Germanized Old Prussian places names in the region of Königsberg were replaced with the Russian equivalents, which having nothing in common with authentic Baltic form. For example, German Aweyken, Lithuanian Aweyken, Russisch Sviridovo. Drawing on numerous of often unique archival manuscript sources, the map show the route of the oikonym from its first mention in the Middle Age to the mid-20th century. Thanks to the abundance of sources, new etymologies of specific place names, as well as more precise Lithuanian equivalents of certain oikonyms are made possible. Therefore, the map is considered a scientific work. It is reveal new facts and etymological interpretations. It is also the work of popular scientists paying much attention to the question of history. What is more, it provides the biographies of prominent personalities from Lithuania Minor, accompanied by maps. It demonstrated that the name of every object is a significant relic of Old Prussian onomasticon. Where possible, every place names is provided from its first record in historical sources. Anyone interested in the history of the former East Prussia and its proper names will find unique facts which are not easily accessible to non-experts, showing the viability of names and places, for instance, of the 16th century and their fate in the first half of the 20th century. For example, Arissau in a village in Sambia is one of the earliest mentioned villages in Sambia, 2055, Fischhausen country, and is mentioned Latin Parcium itaque trium supradictarum terre Sambiensis, una tercia pars as Arys. And we have very interesting fact that in another side of East Prussia was river Arys. And of course, Baltic onomasticians were mainly interested in the hydronyms, which could be explained throughout Indo-European studies, namely Indo-European route, air or and to move. It is quite possible that there could also be water body in Sambia, which could give a name to the village Arissau, but we have no information about such water body. The village name, just like Old Prussian lake name Aringine, Lithuanian Arys, Latvian river name Aruona, might derive from some root art. The village did not exist after 1945. Therefore, there were Old Prussian place names Arys or Arissau in Sambia. You can see and Arys, please, and all the things. Another case is Bisleda, German Beisleiden, Polish Bezledie. The name was mentioned in 38 in Campo Bisleiden, and you have a lot of mentions. I have more. We have in our map a lot of mentions, and it is Old Prussian personal name by slide and compares the first component with Old Prussian personal name, Baise, Boise, Lithuanian, Baisa, Baisus, by giving priority to the appellative origin of the first component. The etymology of the second component raises no doubt. It is associated with Old Prussian Lides clay. Very interesting is and important for Old Prussian is the village Pobėtin, Lithuanian Pobėtai, Pobėčiai, Rasha Romanova, a village in center in Sambia, and is the Old Prussian place name Pobėtai is a derived with the Old Prussian prefix pa from the river name Beta. Old Prussian was spoken in Pobėtin for a long period of time. Abel Will, which the assistant of Prussian, Paul Mego, translated Martin Luther's Enchiridion into Old Prussian. It is one very important Old Prussian monument. In 1561, it was published in Königsberg, now Kaliningrad. And it is one of the few names in Prussia, Prussia Batau, Russisch Dobraya, Germany Batau, Russisch Bobrovka. In the first mention was in the 13th century, 2058, Beethoven Motor. Old Prussian name Batau may be anthroponymic origin and may possibly be traced to Old Prussian personal name Bate. In the first mention of 2058, Motor means a gloss. It was a territory in the countryside inspected by a priest. Motor has its function and it was strictly definite as certain administrative unit. At everything who you can find about these places, you find in our interactive map, and only references only for these names, they have more as one page. And you see now all names, all names, and Batau, Arissau, Pobėtin, Aweyken, by Sliden, and you see how nice is our, for me it's very nice, our interactive map. And if you can give live, you can find some point and you can get all information. And we see our country, Lithuanian, East Prussia is not existing now. In Russia, and it is in Poland also, and Poland, and all maps have we in our interactive map. Many can ask and do ask about Old Prussian, the language immersed in history. Quite a few scholars still speak about this language, scarce monuments, in particular its onomasticon, and the people who very referred to as Prutenus, even during the late Middle Age, during the celebration in the autumnal equinox of the Baltic Unity Day in Juodkrante, a beautiful corner in Lithuania, which I wish every participant of this conference to visit. The songs in Old Prussian, most likely composed from the surviving Old Prussian words and reconstructed per analogiam with other Baltic languages, were sung as well. The people of sciences, the scholars of Baltic languages and Old Prussia, still hoping to find and still finding new knowledges about the viability of Old Prussia, make use of my folios and other sources. The viability of Old Prussian proper names has already been spoken about for a few centuries and for quite a few decades in our times. It is very interesting sources, which I will definitely mention in greater detail in the future through connoisseurs and scholars of other not linguistic sciences of the 18th century, still distinguishing between a Teuton and a Prussian, Teuto-Prutenus, and how can we say that Old Prussian got extinct or do no longer exist? The mentioned Prutenus could indeed be by Prussian, whether he spoke this language of his ancestor question, but he was definitely interested in it. I would like to wish all the participants of this conference to develop of a fascination with the research of medieval proper names. I also wish you all to have a joyful conference, because science must not necessarily be boring. And now my business card. You see a lot of ants who are bringing Old Prussia name to our books and to our monographs. And you see now Lithuanian language, Latvian language. We have color, but Prussian language have black color. Is not language was spoken now. And in all Baltic languages, dinkama Prussian, paldies, Latvian, ačiū, Lithuanian, and thank you for your attention, and wish all best for the conference. And I finished my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was great. I'm glad we got the slides going to everybody. I think we are going to put the slides in the chat in case anybody wants to have a closer look at them.
Yes.
Do we have any questions from the audience right now? I know I have one question.
Please.
I was very curious as you were giving all of these examples, what the range of your sources are. So obviously you have books and lists, but do you also look at old maps to see the place names as well?
Yeah, I look everything old. I look all German German order folio, and I look all what is possible. Mm-hmm. What can I find? I am working with a lot of sources.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Is this the maps that you were showing us, are those available to anyone to look at on the internet right now?
Yes, we have. I have in my paper, in my thesis paper, its address www.Prussia LT. You can see in this paper, in my thesis, I have all materials, and you can find the address. And it was my mistake, I forgot to written now, but you can see in thesis and you find the address.
Okay, we will find it and we will make it available to our members, because I would like to see it. It looks very good from what you showed us in those slides.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions from the audience?
It is not so easy to give questions, because we are working in of another kind. We are these ants of onomastic, and our work is all work is very hard, but our work with historical sources and handwritten sources, it's really not easy.
Yeah, I can imagine. Chris, you have a question, I think.
Thank you. I enjoyed that. Could you please say a couple things about the sources of your visuals, especially your maps? They were very helpful.
Sources, it's our work. Just we have sources. We started very hard. We have only some small things, and we're doing everything ourselves. I was writing all texts. All text is my work. The maps is work from Edmundas Trumpa, and we have two helper who are writing about prominent personality of Lithuania Minor, and so we are working. Not a lot of people. Our team is small team.
Okay, I don't see any other questions right now. So I think unless you have anything else that you want to share with us before we take a few minutes break?
No, I put out. I thank you very much, and it's nice to see you, and I wish all the best for you.